Welcome to the first 2021 edition of First and 10 with Rams football coach Joe Prud'homme. I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher. Coach, before we get into the scrimmage and talking about the forthcoming season, how difficult was it navigating through yet another wheels-off, weird off-season, which you just came off of?
Really hard. Everything was hard. It's already difficult for us anyway because of the facility challenges, but it was like every single day you just had to ride a roller coaster. You didn't know if somebody else was in quarantine or you had to wait on test results of another kid. That would affect 10, 15, 20 kids. And just the quarantining process, getting them fed, making sure they were staying up with their classes as best they could through all the remote learning. And it was a nightmare. And logistically, emotionally, it was a bad scene. It really was.
And speaking of bad scenes, although vaccination is a good scene, and how close to 100%, or what's the vaccination rate for the Rams?
We right now are a little bit right at 90 to 91% vaccinated. So I'm really proud of our guys that have done it, and I respect the ones that hadn't. But it just makes it a little more tenuous for them because whenever there's a close contact, then they get nabbed for 10 days. The vaccinated guys have a lot less strict protocol, and they have an opportunity to continue to do things. So that's why, I was so adamant about if there is an answer, let's do the answer. Last year we didn't have an option. It was these are the cards you're dealt. This is what's going to happen, and you had to go with it. Now at least there's an option to try to navigate it.
Rams up, Vax up. Yeah. And before we get into more football, tell me about the deal with Nike that you guys have.
Yeah, we moved over to Nike this year. Got 4 sets of uniforms. They're really, really nice. It was a buy one, get one, so let's get 4. And they're really, really pretty. And, it's time for a change. I mean, the rest of the department was already in Nike. We were the last Adidas holdout, but our uniforms were only a couple, 3 years old, so it wasn't time. But they had quite a bit of wear on them. So it was just time to take the next step and join the rest of the athletic family in doing that.
Yeah, speaking of those uniforms, they are snappy. Well-dressed Rams, they are. I saw them the other night at the scrimmage. And speaking of that scrimmage against Southwestern, how happy were you with both sides of the ball and, first of all, the offense?
I was really happy with our energy level. We came out with a lot of energy and enthusiasm and really attacked the game. I did like that. Offensively, I thought that we were consistent. We ran the ball okay, pretty good at times. The passing I thought was really good. The play actions off of it were good. But I thought, all in all, I was pleased with the offense. We won the turnover battle, too. We didn't turn the ball over. We caused, I think it was 4 or 5. And since there's only one ref showed up, Coach Austin had to help, and I had to help, and that was a mess because neither one of us threw a flag all night. And I probably cost us two turnovers. One, we caught an interception in bounds, and I couldn't tell, so I just gave him the ball back. And we had a punch out on the sideline, and we called him down. And so our guys were really flying around doing some good. Defensively, we looked really good. We were we made some mistakes, methodically as far as our techniques. We made some mistakes. Energy level was good. Missed tackles were way down, and people were, positionally, lined up right, and we were doing pretty well in that area. But I thought one of our strong points was our special teams. I thought we won the field position battle all night. I think we pinned them on kickoffs inside the 20 every single time. That's pretty good. That's real good when you get that done. Kids were flying down. Blazer was taking on all duties because a couple of our guys were out on finishing up some quarantines. But they did well. I was all in all, for a first night out, it was pretty good. We were a little undisciplined in areas, some things that you got to clean up. But it's a whole lot easier to say whoa than giddy up, And they were flying, and I can go with that.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of those crunching hits that Coach was referring to on defense. Had you had more officials, would have you been on the field?
No. Absolutely not. I'd have been on the bench. I'd have been over there doing what we're doing, And it was a mix-up. I mean, they had what they called a self-service assignment deal, and they had referees sign themselves up. But of course, Friday night was high school ball, so a lot of them got varsity games. And once they got the varsity games, that was they took those and did not log back out. So it was poor one official and 2 head coaches out there that had no business doing it, but it was good. You know, all in all, there was a lot of holding going on by both sides, which you kind of figure when they see no refs, of course they're going to hold more. There were some PIs probably missed, obviously some spots. We were trying to protect the quarterbacks as well, so they were on a quick whistle. So it was, you know, for a scrimmage, it accomplished what we needed to. We needed to get out and play somebody different. We needed to have some game speed. We needed to manage the sideline and the bench areas and to kind of get them on and off and transition special teams wise. And, you know, those things, you can check all those boxes.
In the offseason, you brought in a new offensive coordinator, Frank Johnson, from up in San Benedictine College, up in Kansas, in Antioch College in Kansas, or in Antioch, Kansas. Mm-hmm. So what do you see in Fran? What does he bring?
You know, he brings experience and some maturity to the offense. Not that there wasn't before, but it was a lot more experience there. You know, he's 11 years as a coordinator. He's been a top 10 NAI offense in points and yards the last 4 or 5 years. He's been to the national championship. He's been to the playoffs. There's a real method to the way he brings them along progressively. I think he'll balance the offense out some, but also he loves to throw the ball. He's an ex-quarterback, so don't be surprised if we're airing it out still. But he has a real pedigree behind him. Played, you know, quarterback in college and went on and played some arena ball and just has brought along a real, you know, real maturity to the offense, I guess is the best way to really, you know, take it, see it, dissect it, go with the next thing. And he's been a real good addition. Got a new offensive line coach, Andy Townsend. You know, he coached at A&M Commerce when they won the national championship. He was the associate head coach, but he was a D-line coach at that time. Another very well-experienced guy. Got a little over 11 years coaching experience. He's been really good for us, too. And then we brought in Ronald Jean-Marie from Miami to be the running backs coach. He coached at North Carolina State, Kentucky Wesleyan, and some other places. So, you know, we brought some experienced guys in, and I feel good about that. You know, when you navigate what we have to navigate at times, there's a real plus to been there, done that, you know. And so that's some areas that I think we're going to see, you know, hopefully some improvement, but also, you know, balance out a little bit more complementary for the defense and the special teams. You know, last year's offense was a quick strike, you know, go get it. And at times that played in our favor, and sometimes it put us behind the 8 ball, but that's what you're going to have in that type of offense. That's just the feast or famine at times. So I think with Fran coming on, it does give us a little more experience. Somebody who's been to the playoffs, kind of gives us an idea of what it takes to get there and to have success there. So that, you know, I'm pretty excited about the potential there.
I saw going through the roster from before the scrimmage against Southwestern last week, maybe 2 handfuls of players that I recognize. So you have a lot of new guys, as usual, with every season. So who jumps out, first of all, on offense to you?
On offense, probably P.J. Williams is a receiver that we added. He's out of Miami. He had 3 catches and 2 touchdowns the other night. As far as the newcomer, I think the guys that are coming back are going to really be, you know, the Ricks and the Rolfs and the offensive linemen with Lopez Williams and, you know, Peter Savota has been moved over to offense, and he's a hand over there. And, you know, Mike Bonner and Caden Glasgow, we're getting those guys back. So I'm excited about that. So, you know, we moved Christian Myhan to tackle, and he's going to help us there. You know, Dalton Dale's only played a handful of ball games, but he gives us a real spark. And Clint Epperson didn't get a chance to play last year because he was tested positive right before we went out to Arizona, and he was out for the SAGU game. So he gives us another new face. But I think we're going to be very explosive, very dynamic on offense. Defensively, we got some guys that have come in. You know, Kobe Adams is a DN that we're really high on, excited about. You know, and as far as our secondary, it's a lot of our older guys. We brought in, you know, 4 or 5 guys there. You know, Michael Darko's one that stands out, and we got some freshmen that I think have a chance to do really, really well. They're really explosive, they're really dynamic, but still they're freshmen. So that worries you a little bit, you know, for the mistake part. But yeah, we feel like we've gotten a really good hand on it. And Francisco Castillo is a place kicker that's come in. He's an excellent kicker, great range. Didn't get to see him the other night, but hopefully we'll have him this week. So we yeah, we've got some guys coming, so I feel good about it.
What about quarterback coach Dalton Dale? You mentioned him. Then
Yeah.
you have Carson Rogers from Spring, Texas, and Frisco's Drew Martin.
Right.
Have you named a starter yet, or is it too soon?
It'll probably be between Dale and Drew Martin at this point. Some of those other guys are just a little bit behind them. Those two have really come on, and they performed well. I mean, Drew had a real nice touchdown throw. He had a real nice back shoulder conversion. Dale is experienced. He walked us down the field a few times. They're both very explosive runners in addition to their throwing the ball. So I'm excited about both of them. And we got some really good quarterbacks behind them. So that competition continues to brew.
Did you notice more pop from Dale, or is that just me seeing him fire some BBs there?
Yeah, no, he threw the ball well. His velocity is up. Drew's velocity is up. They've been working out all summer and getting themselves in position to really throw the ball well and working on not just throwing it hard, but getting some touch and feeling out the different throws that you got to have. And yeah, they both got better pop, no question about it.
What's the story on Hans Laufer? We talked about him, I think, last year we talked about Hans.
He's still developing. He's got some mechanical issues as far as his arm and where he throws it. Jordan Flores, the big left-hander that came in, he's also a really talented guy. Carson Rogers is a talented guy, but he's a freshman as well. So there's some real good developmental prospects behind those guys as well. And they bring it every day to practice, man. They're ready to go. So.
And you talked about the offensive line. They look pretty strong, what I saw of them the other night. Be blocking for, pass protection, obviously running. Speaking of running, how much depth do you have at the running back position?
We feel like we have 4 to 5 really good running backs, 3 that are, kind of a cut above. But they're all very explosive. I mean, they can all move. They can catch the ball. They pick up in pass protections really, really well. They're good in the screen game. So yeah, I think that we got 4 guys that we really, really like. So we'll see. There's guys behind them that are developing as well. So we'll see.
What about defense? You touched on them kind of, but anybody really stand out so far?
Jose Bonilla had a really good scrimmage the other night at linebacker. He had a real good scrimmage. Devon Granger, D lineman, had a really good scrimmage. But we held out some guys just because for precautionary reasons. So we'll just have to wait and see how they all come out and how they develop. And we have one freshman, Jamarian Reed, and he had a really strong scrimmage as well, defensively as well as on special teams. So I think that you'll see them to continue to evolve. But it's just we didn't get a chance to play much last year, so that hurt us experience-wise.
Yeah, I saw and heard some crunching tackles on special teams, on kick coverage, and then those kick returns, not only a punt but on kickoff. So who stands out on special teams?
Jason Price had a really good night the other night on special teams as far as the return for the touchdown. Jamarian Reed had a really good night getting down. Damian Francis had a big night. Lewis Alexander, a freshman, had a big night. Just a Ty Pullig. There was just a bunch of those guys. I mean, they were flying down there to cover, and that was good to see because it really played into the field position piece of the game as well as, the whole just containing them, just not letting them breathe. And our punt protection was strong. We just got to work on our PAT field goal. But when you have guys that are out and you're having to readjust that, I kind of expected it to be a little sloppy.
The Sooner Athletic Conference preseason poll was out with Arizona Christian, who the Rams opened against at Farrington on Saturday. We'll touch on that here in a little bit. But the Rams were 7th. Is that fair, or do you care about preseason rankings? Or how fair is the 7th ranking for the Rams?
Oh, I don't think it's fair at all. Of course I don't think it's fair, but it doesn't. To me, it's irrelevant. I mean, really, you got to go play. There's a lot of different faces in the conference. We didn't get a chance to really play last year. We had the 2 games. The irony is that we did beat the conference champions, and so we were proud of that win. It was a good win, but it's so far back now, and there were so many things about it and around it, and when other coaches don't see you play, how can they rank you any higher than that? Nobody should be ranked on their potential. I don't think. It should be ranked on your track record and what you brought to it. And last year, we were wiped out by COVID. We just flat out were. The close contacts and the quarantines and then the freeze, and it was just no way for us to play. So we use it as motivation, you know, but the reality is that poll is truly irrelevant. I mean, the one that really matters is the one at the end of the year and how you end up. And we're gonna play one game, and the only game that matters to us in the whole world right now is that Arizona Christian game.
And how does Arizona Christian look?
Oh, they're good. They're a veteran team. I mean, they don't beat themselves. They're very opportunistic. You know, they're very sound in what they do. They got to play a lot of games last year, so a lot of guys got experience. So, you know, they're going to be a very strong opponent. I mean, they've been ranked number 1 in the conference, and you know, you could argue that is deserved, you know, from what I've seen. And we'll just have to wait and see how things turn out. But they're a really good ball club, and we're going to have to play well to beat them. I mean, we're going to have to win the field position game. We have to win the turnover battle game. And then we have to contain big plays because they're a really good big play team. And then we just have to have success, you know, running the ball, but taking our spots. And whenever there's an explosive play, we gotta make it. But I feel good about the growth in our team. But yeah, they deserve the ranking they have at this time. But we'll see what it looks like next week.
And you mentioned there are some guys experienced from last year's team that the Rams beat on Arizona Christian. How much does that help, or how different do they look with the addition of those guys coming back from last year's team? How different are they from last year?
They're very similar. They're very, very similar. They have a lot of their guys back. The quarterbacks are back. You know, the receiver, Cole's back, and he's awesome. But they've got some guys. They look very similar to what they were last year. Their front four is very well coached, great technique, very explosive. The linebackers are experienced. They're where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be. Secondary plays very sound in their coverage. Offensively, they've got the offensive line is excellent in what they do and how they execute. The running backs run hard. They got the big receivers, but they also have Cole, the very explosive one. Duncan is back, and they got the kicker who's been there for a while, and he's an excellent kicker, you know. So we just got to play well. Do we match up well with them? I think so. If we go out and play, but it's going to be a game that we have to go out and we're going to have to take it from them. They're not going to give it to us, and we're certainly not going to give it to them. So I think it's going to be a lot better ball game than some people think. But I like our chances. If we execute, I like our chances.
I see all day games in the 4 home games this year at Farrington, but the last 3 are 2 o'clock, and the Saturday game against ACU, that's a noon start, correct?
I'd have to look at it.
Okay, yeah.
It's either 3 o'clock or noon.
Okay.
Oh, this week?
Yeah,
this week's a noon game, yes.
Okay,
yes,
this
yes.
is noon.
I thought you were talking about Central Arkansas down the road. So.
No, for ACU this week, yeah.
This week it's a noon game. We're doing that, for the heat factor, but also so they can get back on the road and get home.
Right.
It was a way to, give them the opportunity to travel. It was, extending some hospitality.
So since it is a noon game, get to the east side of Farrington Stadium for Ram Zone. That'll start 2 hours before kickoff of every game, so that means 10 a.m. this Saturday before the ACU game. And then there's a new tradition, the Ram Walk.
Yes.
The 20-minute before kickoff. Fans are invited to line up the north rim of the stadium, just opposite the scoreboard, to hype up the players as they come on to the field. So that should be pretty cool.
This could be cool. I mean, we're going to be throwing them some T-shirts and some Mardi Gras beads as we go around to kind of get ourselves, revved up to go play. And it's a new tradition, and it was something Coach McClain came up with that he liked a lot, and something he had experience with. So we're gonna throw it out there and see what happens.
Coach, I'll see you from the field. I don't know if I'll have time to get down and see you before the game, but we'll be up in the booth with Brendan Snow. He'll be doing some color analyzation. I'll be doing play-by-play. So we have about 11:55 kickoff on ramsports.edu Saturday. And hey, I'm excited. Looking forward to a full season and a Rams winning season this year.
Yeah, we are too. After last year, and now we can finally focus on football a whole lot more. We're excited and ready to go play.
For Coach Joe, for Ricky Dotson, for Ryan Keating, for producer Ken Flowers, and Krista Pilot, Jimmy the St. Christopher saying, see you next week on 1st and 10.